Have you even took a vacation without your job's approval? My dad would do this. He would tell his boss, "These are the weeks that I'll be on vacation." His boss said, "I'll see what time we have available." Then he replied, "I'm telling you when I'll be gone." Not asking. Quote, "I personally am going away for winter break. Especially after the director said that Thanksgiving week and Christmas week aren't obligatory." However, they switched up on us last minute to say that we need to be available at least 2 or 3 days of those weeks, not including the actual holiday. A coworker came in and said that they cannot blame us for making plans and not showing up because they said at first that we didn't have to work on those weeks. So for Thanksgiving I worked. However, I chose to go away from winter break. Again, they cannot blame me for already making plans. And I'm not throwing away a $500 plane ticket. I need this vacation. I don't care if they let me go. But it's unlikely as they are desperate for teachers' assistants. My old retail job had blackout dates for the holidays. I would let my boss know I'd be gone for the holidays. They would try to say I couldn't leave, and just tell her to text me the next schedule if I was still employed when I got back. Never had an issue and worked there for 4 years. Actually, yes. Before getting hired, I let my job know I'll be out of the country from this date to that date. If they didn't accept this, I would not take the job. They said they were fine with it and wrote on a document saying so. Times passes. The dates start coming forward. I remind my boss. Boss's boss overhears. She's one of the 2 that hired me. And tells me I haven't accumulated enough PTO yet. I'm 1 day short. Can't take time off if you don't have the PTO needed. No. I told her about this at the interview and she consented. She signed a paper stating so. Regardless, I am going on this trip. If I do not have a job when I get back, so be it. Shame we are understaffed as it is, and I was one of the few who could do certain tasks, but hey, you have rules to uphold. What do you know? A phone call to HR and suddenly the vacation is approved. I had a lovely time abroad. I usually do the whole approval process because there is nothing that I actually want to do. There have been a handful of occasions where I have submitted my days and told them in no uncertain terms that I will not be here that day, paid or not. If not paid, this is my call in for my absence. I got paid. Before starting my current job, I told my then prospective employers I had a vacation that was booked etc. within my first 30 days. They said no problem. Good companies do exist. They just aren't the norm. If I am not flexible on my vacation, it's not a request, it's notice. Decades ago, I needed a vacation and took work. I needed some time off. They said I could take a week off. That was nowhere near enough. So I quit. I ended up taking a 3-month road trip. It was a great experience. When I got back home, I asked them if they were hiring, and they told me to come in next Monday. Work there for another year or 2 after that. When my dad died, called my boss and told him, "Dad died this morning. I'm going to spend the rest of this week taking care of my mom. Do I have a job to come back to on Monday?" He told me I did. I thanked him, and nothing more came of it. I've never asked a job for approval. I've always just said, "So I'm going on holiday between less than X and less than Y dates. Please mark me as having used 10 of my holiday days on the system." Assuming I'm going away for 2 weeks. This seems to be the standard procedure amongst, well, pretty much everyone I know. I can see it might be very different in environments like school teaching, where you can't just disappear in the middle of a school term. Or in a hospital, where staffing levels on shifts are important for patient safety. But in most office, white-collar environments, what we're doing just isn't that important that it can't wait a couple of weeks until you get back from halls. I also don't ever work between Christmas and New Year. I like being able to have effectively 2 weeks off whilst only using about 4 holiday days. Since Xmas Day, Boxing Day, NYD are all public holidays and don't count toward holiday days. I'm not going to be here, do with that as you will. I'll put in my time off request, then tell my boss, I put in for X days off. I'm going out of state. It's my boss's choice to approve those days or not. But either way, it's notice that I'm not going to be there. I've never asked for permission before. If it's one day off, Friday, Mondays, I'll usually put in the request the week after I get back. For longer trips, I just say when I'll be gone and that's the end of it. We are all working professionals and understand we work for life and not the other way around. 9/10 times I find a travel deal and book immediately anyways. This February I found $50 flights to Spain from Minnesota. So in that scenario I had to book. I told my boss last month I was going out of town the week of Christmas even though I'm not actually going away. He didn't object to it, but I was working as a contractor at the time. I'm now permanent and I suspect I'm going to get pushback because I don't have enough PTO. I now only get 5 PTO days for the entire year. Even though I won't get paid, I really need that week off. If push comes to shove, I'll call out the day after Christmas. My company's handbook says, frequent time away from work will not be tolerated, and they define time away from work as calling out or showing up late, and more than 2 occurrences in a 30-day period may result in disciplinary action up to and incoming termination. I've thought about sending in a picture of a positive COVID test, but they require a doctor's note for absences 3 days or more. I got hired remotely and a month later I went to the Virgin Islands for 1 month and it was awesome. I had no issues. No one knew. Emo, it's better to apologize than to be told no. I got fired once for taking time to go to a funeral. The reason was I did not give them 2 weeks notice that I would need those days off. Not a vacation, but it was the incident that jumped to mind. I have had a job approve my PTO and then try to refund it. I told them I had non-refundable plane tickets and I would stay home and come to work if they reimbursed me the cost. I had a lovely trip. I just did this. They approved my vacation and then suddenly remembered I'm supposed to work New Year's. Wouldn't you know I have international tickets already? I was like, well, if you wanna fire me that's okay. I guess I'll get a new job when I get back after the holidays. They just told me not to tell anyone. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. I do all the time. I'm hourly and technically I'm supposed to go into the office 3 days a week but have yet to show up. I take 4-day weekends all the time. I usually work enough OT to cover a day a week, but if I didn't my boss will just retroactively use my PTO for the hours I missed. My boss is pretty apathetic and as long as I'm putting up good numbers. I'm sales. He doesn't seem to care what I do. I work for a giant corporation that is broken up into hundreds of satellite branches. This type of structure helps me get away with these things. Plus the Marines taught me how to be a professional at skating though the workday. A few years ago I tried to take unpaid leave for a month to do a couple of archaeology digs that I've always wanted to do. They denied the leave so I quit. While I was gone, they emailed me and said that they needed me when I return. TLDR. Played chicken with the boss and he flinched. I took a job and told them my wedding was nigh before I accepted. Totally fine. But those are blackout dates, they said a month later. Okay, but I'm getting married that day, so I'm not going to be here. Schedule me if you want. But that's not fair to everyone else. Oh, well then. If it's not fair, I guess I'll skip my wedding and ring on a register for 4 hours? Yep. My local amusement park had a one-day pass for a particular union. All the members of that union and their families, up to 8 people total, could visit the park and get a free lunch. My boss scheduled me for that day at my job at the Dairy Queen. I reminded him I'd be at the amusement park that day. My dad was big on family activities. Attendance was mandatory. I didn't show up for work. He came to my house that evening to fire me. My dad told him to go piss up a rope. That scheduling me for the one day of the year he knew I wouldn't be there was his stupid idea. Then, I also told him to go piss up a rope and I quit that job. I've taken vacation and not told my boss until I was on the vacation. Can't deny it if I am already gone.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.